are in the first week of autumn, which I am really excited about, but a change of season also means more jobs in the garden. So I've got a lot to tackle today. In particular, an area that I let go wild a little bit in summer. I had a encounter with a snake in this particular area, so I avoided it and let it turn into a bit of a jungle, which was probably a mistake, but I didn't want to get bitten from the snake. So I'm going to tackle that today, and hopefully we don't have any more run-ins with our snake friend. It was actually an eastern brown, which is a deadly type of snake, and although I didn't get bitten, one time it did come right up to my leg, and I just stood perfectly still, and eventually it kind of slithered away. So I was very thankful for that. Apparently they are more afraid of us than what we are of them, and I suppose that proved to be true in my experiences. So if you ever see a snake and there's a snake right near you, just stand perfectly still and hopefully it will slither away without you getting bitten. Hopefully we won't encounter any more snakes today. We'll see. The first area that we're going to tackle today is this garden bed here, where I actually had 2 volunteer tomato plants just pop up in early spring. I absolutely love the volunteer plants because I find that they are so vigorous and they're really healthy, and we actually did harvest a lot of tomatoes from these plants here, and I was able to ferment some and eat so many fresh. So I was so thankful for these plants, but now I need to pull them out and pop them into the compost, and then we'll get started on the pathway where I saw the snake. I'm not actually going to pull the plants out by the roots. I'm just going to cut them off at the base, and I will let the roots of the plant decompose in the soil by themselves. This type of cucumber is called the lemon cucumber, and there are lots hanging on the vine behind me, if you can see. Now, they've been hanging on the vine for a bit too long, so they're no longer any good to eat fresh, so they're only good for saving seeds or feeding to the animals. I'm not going to save the seeds from these ones today because I do have other cucumber vines on this trellis behind me, and cucumbers can cross-pollinate. So that means the seeds that I save from this one probably won't be a pure lemon cucumber. They would be mixed with a different variety, and they wouldn't end up being the type of cucumber that we'd want to eat. I like to look at things though that we're not wasting food. We are still feeding it to our animals. We like to try and have a purpose for everything that we grow here, so nothing goes to waste. It can either go into the kitchen where we eat it, or it can go to the animals or the compost, where eventually it's going to be broken back down and put back into our soil to grow more veggies. trellis is made from Rio mesh and star pickets. I also have used some as an archway, so it can bend, which is really handy as well. In America, I think they might call it cattle panels, but I think it's pretty much the same thing. I just found something really incredible. So this is the skin, I suppose, of one of the cucumbers, and when I was picking it up off the ground, I noticed there was some green underneath it. It's quite transparent, so I noticed there was some green underneath it, so I picked it up and look what I found. Little cucumber seedlings. How cool. It's a bit of a jungle behind me. I never got around to putting wood chip down in this pathway, so the weeds have taken over really easily. So that is also one of my jobs to do before winter, so I can easily access this pathway. It's a dead end down the back, so it doesn't get walked on too often, and that's probably why the weeds have taken over so quickly. Found some cucumbers. Now this one here looks really good, but these two probably are for the animals. With cucumbers, it's best to pick them when they're green. If you wait until they turn to a yellow or an orange color, then they're really only good for saving seeds. So I can have a look at these seeds in this one and see if they're good enough to save. If not, then they'll go to the animals. We started putting our food scraps into these metal circles here so the chickens can jump in and scratch around and eat and poo, and whatever doesn't get eaten will just continue to be broken down, and eventually it will be a lovely addition to the compost. Had a breakage. I could tell it was going to happen. It was getting more and more weak. I did buy this second hand a couple of years ago, so it served me well, and I got it really cheap, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I suppose I'll have to buy another one now, and I might have to get the shovel to do the rest of the weeding. still have this cucumber here on the trellis. It's still producing cucumbers, although not as many as it once was, so it is nearing the end. However, we are in autumn now, so that's expected. I've cleared the end of the trellis, and I will keep this here for another few weeks until the vine starts to die off. It's still looking pretty good at the moment. At least that's one part of the garden done. That was a real weedy mess before, as you could see. So the path is nice and clear, and I've mulched it now, so hopefully that will stop the weeds from coming up. I got rid of the dead cucumber vine that was on the end of this trellis here. I still have this one going for now. It's still producing a little bit of cucumbers, so I'll leave it in. I don't need the space for another couple of weeks at least. Thank you so much for joining me in the garden today while I was doing some garden chores and winter preparation. It's getting a bit hot, so I'm gonna head inside and I'll come out again later this afternoon. But I hope I can inspire you to get out into your gardens today to plant some plants, plant some seeds, grow some food, and be a little bit more self-sufficient. Until then, I'll see you next week.